Hello and welcome to this installment of our virtual conference series with a focus on freight, logistics, and transportation. I'm Greg Pendy, a member of our SPAC and Disruptive Technology Equity Research team at Chardan Capital Markets. As always, I'll start with on an interesting note with some important disclosures. During this call, we will not be discussing Chardan research. Any discussions about research should be coordinated between a participant and their respective salesperson. Our compliance team has asked me to read this statement for the investor call. By participating in this call, our speakers attest that they have made Chardan aware of any potential conflicts and they will not discuss any material, non-public, confidential information that they are aware of that may breach their legal, regulatory, or fiduciary responsibility to any parties. So with those disclosures out of the way, it's my pleasure to introduce Javier Selgas, the CEO and director, as well as Donald Quinby, the Chief Financial Officer of Freight Technologies. Thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you. Great to be here.
So, I just want to go over some big picture questions, and then we'll delve into some more of the company specifics on your platform. But big picture here, as you focus on your mission to revolutionize cross-border technology, can you go over the current process that's in place that many people on over-the-road shipping are dealing with, and then how your platform aims to disrupt this space?
Yeah, sure. We're in the over-the-road transportation industry is key for shippers and carriers. There are two main players in the ecosystem: shippers and carriers, the ones moving goods and the ones owning trucks. What we do with our platform is connect both shippers and carriers in the best way possible. What we do is bring loads from shippers, they post loads in our platform, and through our algorithms, we find the best carrier for them. Our algorithms are calculating many variables like origin, destination, base of the carrier, nature of the goods. And what we do is to find the best truck for the best for a load, and the best load for a truck or truck driver. What we are doing here is creating a huge network of carriers that are able to move cross-border loads from Mexico to the US and Canada, and make them keep their trucks loaded, provide capacity for shippers, and bring both parties the technology to handle in a more efficient way their operations. What we try to do is to digitalize all the process from end to end, reducing paper consumption and trying to reduce cost for all parties involved.
That's helpful. As you look at the global landscape, what would you identify as some of the global megatrends that will shape your industry over the next few years?
Yeah, thanks, Greg. I'll take a stab at this. So one of the biggest trends that we see in logistics overall, and certainly impacting the space that we're in, is digitalization and automation, right? And where you see this is the application of artificial intelligence, which is all the buzz, the Internet of Things, so connecting things such as trucks and even packages and even things that are more specific that get tracked all throughout the logistics supply chain. And then, of course, data analytics, all this intelligence now that you can bring from advanced computing into this massive amount of data that's out there. So that is certainly one of the big trends that we are seeing in space. And of course, we are trying to position ourselves to be right in the middle of that, right, as being a provider and a value add to managing that entire technology platform that comes through logistics. One of the other big trends that we're also seeing is the growth of e-commerce. So obviously, your big companies such as Amazon and Walmart and others, really shipping directly to consumers. This is a trend, massive global trend over the entire world. So being an integral part of that supply chain of getting really that kind of last mile is really critical. And certainly our platform can make the full process of delivering goods all that more efficient, right? And so again, we feel like we're well positioned to take advantage of that megatrend as well. Some other big trends, of course, are globalization and cross-border trade. Obviously, it's been around for this mega trend has been around for a long time. But what's interesting is what's happening now is we see a lot of onshoring, and nearshoring, and this is really kind of as a result of COVID, but also trading tensions that you see between the United States and China. This is sort of getting now eclipsed by these factors, like I'm saying, that nearshoring and onshoring. We're seeing a lot of international companies investing in Mexico to take advantage of the USMCA trade agreement that was passed last few years, and making it a lot easier and more cost effective for producers and manufacturers to access the U.S. market and the Latin American market in Mexico. And then how do you move those goods, across the border of the United States and elsewhere? Most of it's by truck, right? And so again, we are well positioned to be right in the space to take advantage of this growth that we're seeing. Just as another point I think I mentioned before, Mexico is now the largest trading partner of the United States for the last 2 months. It's eclipsed China, right? And China was for a long time the biggest trading partner of the United States. So these changes are really happening, and they're happening pretty fast. And again, I think we're in the right position to take advantage of it. So with that, I think some of the other big trends that you see is a move towards resilience in the supply chain and logistics. So how are you able to be agile and flexible in the face of things like these disruptive factors in logistics, but also things like COVID that obviously happened, but weather and labor shortages or port shutdowns. We saw all these things happen. Just at the end of last year, we saw the trains getting shut down at the border between the U.S. and Mexico, right? So there's all these things that just happen, just life happens, and so having systems, technology in place that enables you to navigate those risk factors is incredibly important, right? And we think that freight has the ability to do that. Another big mega trend that we see is, of course, on the environmental side. Climate change is very real, and the logistics sector obviously uses a lot of carbon, still primarily based on on gasoline and petrochemicals to move stuff around. But there is certainly a trend towards electric vehicles, autonomous vehicles, use of drones as being obviously environmental. But one thing that we do at Freight is optimize how trucks are getting used, right? So really minimizing for empty miles, so just trucks that are empty and getting repositioned for another load. Our platform can help do that with all this data that's available, all the information that's out there for connecting shippers and carriers. We have the ability to actually minimize the impact of carbon footprint for a lot of the players out there. So
that's great. I guess with freight facing in the midst of so many powerful mega trends that you went over, what is the competitive landscape that you see out there right now look like?
I'll take this one, Javier. Yeah, so we think, well, obviously, we think the technology itself, I've talked about as being disruptive, is certainly a competitive advantage to the traditional paper-based way of managing logistics. There's just so much more efficiency with being on a platform, digitalizing all your forms, whether that's related to, e-manifest, what's in your, what are you actually carrying, your bills of ladings, your regulatory compliance documentations, everything can be, is obviously moving towards civilization. And what we do on the platform is make it even easier, right, to complete all those documents that need to get transacted between, a shipper or a carrier or any potential other stakeholders in the space. So that technology integration is certainly one of the advantages that we have. We also think we have a competitive advantage in really a great team of our operations that really helps and assists both the carriers and the shippers make sure that the right data is in the platform, right? So they can get the best outcomes. Obviously, whenever you're introducing a new technology, it takes time for that to get adopted. It takes people, time to learn it. And we have, a team of people that facilitates the data. So really work again with our customers and shippers and with our carriers to make sure that they're making the most of the platform and using it correctly and making the most out of it. So I think we see that as certainly a competitive advantage for freight over some other players that we see in the space. So I would really say operational execution.
And actually, we have what we believe is the most integrable platform in the market for cross-border shipping. There are many players involved in a cross-border shipping transaction. You have warehouses in the border. You have to deal with a carrier in the US, with a carrier in Mexico, with a customs agents. So having the ability to integrate with all these key players in the ecosystem is giving us this advantage for our clients, that they can have fluent communication, very well registered end-to-end process for each load, and having this capability to integrate not only with these key players, but also with GPS systems inside the trucks, give us the ability to track and trace every load, no matter what devices are you guys using, because we have the ability to integrate very fast with any kind of devices or platform. So this is bringing a huge advantage.
Great, that's very helpful. And then just, I guess, finally, on the big picture side of things, what are the near-term obstacles that you see for the sector, and you guys specifically?
Yeah, I think some of the biggest challenges, have been around for a long time, and one, of course, is always fuel price volatility. I mean, again, because we're obviously still very much dependent on gas. When the price of gas is high and remains high, obviously they increase the cost for all of us involved. Now, of course, if electric vehicles and more automation can ramp up, this becomes less of a factor. But that's still obviously a big challenge. Another challenge, of course, is disruptions generally to supply chain, which I've already touched upon. I mean, we saw this with COVID. Well, COVID being, kind of the trigger for a lot of supply chain disruptions, right? I mean, and from itself, obviously, people are sick, they can't show up to work, things slow down, don't happen. But we also saw, major congestions at ports, right? We saw labor shortages, as a result of this. So those things are kind of, very real world and still a challenge that's out there to the industry without a doubt. I would say, regulatory compliance and trade uncertainty is also a big challenge. I mean, just between the U.S. and Mexico, I mean, the political uncertainties that exist and how exactly the relations between crossing that border evolve depending on who's in the White House or different policies that change is obviously a potential disruptive factor. So I'll leave it there. And then lastly, I talked about is talent and labor shortages, not necessarily through COVID or or some sort of disruption like that, but just the ability to find skilled workers in the space is certainly a challenge. It can be difficult to find talent in the logistics space, whether it's drivers or other logistics professionals. So getting people engaged, educated, engaged into the space is a bit of a challenge. So.
Great, that's very helpful. Now let's get into some company-specific questions. Just kind of going through, and I know you've touched on some of this stuff earlier when we were speaking, but can you just go over the technology and what you think is unique? Maybe getting into pointing out anything on a granular basis, any functions within your platform or anything that investors should be aware of?
Yeah, so, as I said, we well, in the shipment, the logistics environment, the most complex transaction, the most complex load that you will find is a cross-border shipping. Cross-border has a lot of complexities. As I said, not only the different languages, different companies in different countries, custom agents, warehouses, and what we are developing is a very focused on cross-border shipping platform. You can find similar companies doing the same in the US, for example, and they are not getting involved in the cross-border, even if it's a huge market actually, but it has a complexity that is sometimes not worthy. I love to say that we like to play in the difficult arenas because it's where less people go, and the market for cross-border shipping is huge as well. So what we are building is very focused cross-border shipping platform, and super, as I said, super integrable platform. And there are many players, tech companies providing specific functionalities for the logistics industry. What we are trying to do is to be in the hub of all of them, integrate all of them. We do not want to reinvent the wheel. So if somebody's doing something and is doing great for that is going to help in the cross-border shipping, we're going to integrate with them. We are going to build this alliance to bring the best functionalities in the market. So at the end, what we are building is a platform that could make a perfect match, a freight matching platform actually, and bring in other functionalities that others has been building for years. So having this capability to integrate through API, that is a technology standard, or EDI, that is a specific logistic standard to integration, is bringing us this unique value that we can bring to our customers. And also, if we want to really add value to our customers, we need to have capacity. There are more shippers, there are more loads in the space than trucks available for those loads. So the ones having the trucks available are the ones winning the business. So what we are doing is trying to focus to help carriers. If we help carriers, I think other logistic companies just focus on the customer side. We like to help carriers also, because having this huge network of carriers that really want to work with you, you can add value to the customer. So if you want to add value to the customer, we think that we need to add value first to the carrier. What we have with our platform that others don't have is this app that allows carriers to not only handle the loads, not only to handle their fleet, but also to look for the way back home. There is in the industry, the worst thing that could happen to a truck driver is to go back home unloaded with empty miles. You have to move goods from A to B, and then you have to go back from B to A unloaded. You're going to spend money on the way back home. What we try is to provide them a technology, an app, options to haul a load on the way back home, so they can make money going back home instead of expending it. And this focus on the carriers, we also offer them like a quick pay program. We are able to pay them in 24, 48 hours and hold the payment from the shipper. And this is giving the carriers cash flow that they really need to continue their operations. So we gave them the volume that the huge enterprise customers is giving us, and also the cash flow to continue the operations. Adding that value to the carriers, we get them stick to the platform, so we can provide a huge network to shipper. That is at the end the thing that they really need.
Great. Well, that's very helpful. And then I guess you went over the complexities so that we understand that. But then another important piece of the puzzle here in this space seems to be the customer's security, right? It's very complex, a lot of things with anybody involved. And I believe you've been working with some pharmaceutical space, some sensitive areas. I believe in Mexico, there's some semiconductor opportunities. So could you just kind of describe how you can assure, to the best effort, in a best efforts way in this space, security of customer goods?
Yeah, actually, that security issues is the things that concern the shippers most. Mexico is not the US. A cross-border shipping between Mexico and US has two parts, actually three parts: the Mexican segment, the cross-border itself, and the US part. The Mexico segment is the most risky one. Mexico is still not the safest place in the world to be a truck driver. So we take this very seriously. What we not allow any carrier to register in our platform. We do have like a very strong and detailed onboarding protocol and process. We go through many details as related with the company itself, with the drivers that are going to move the loads, the quality of the units, the legal and compliance things that they are doing, certification from the carrier. So we have this compliance process that is sometimes tedious but necessary to guarantee the security. And once we go through all these, we approve or not approve the carrier. So this is important to get only reliable carriers onboarded, but also what I was mentioned before, the visibility of the load is something really important. Now, 2024, it sounds like something basic, but the reality is that many carriers in the industry is still not providing good visibility. I understand as good visibility, real-time visibility. There is no way that in 2024 you have your goods in a truck and you cannot see where the truck is going. So what we have is what we call Freight Radar. Is a module in our platform focusing on bringing this visibility to the customer. The visibility is not only helping to guarantee the security, it's also helping to anticipate to some issues that could happen on the way and not spending more time or money than necessary. And we have a team dedicated to monitor these loads. And we also are providing, because there are many different GPS companies, you can find thousands of carriers with different devices. What we are doing is integrate all the devices in just one screen, so we can provide also a tool for our shippers where they can monitor, no matter which carrier is moving the load, you will see all the trucks that are moving your goods in just one screen. And this is super helpful to anticipate any incidents that will happen.
Great. And then, can you just talk a little bit about AI? What are you using in terms of the space? How are you looking at it? And how is, do you think it's going to impact your industry over the next couple of years?
Yeah, it's not only impacting the industry, it's impacting our company internally. We are using artificial intelligence for many purposes. We can provide better customer service using AI, and we can find the best load for a carrier using AI, learning from previous and historical data that we are collecting. We can monitor also weather conditions, for example, to anticipate any issues and reroute a load if necessary, reducing costs. But also we are using AI internally to do our own processes. And this is something that we expect, and we already saw that is helping us to automate many tasks. So we are going to be able to handle more loads and to create more business with less people. So we don't need to grow our human team till like a huge team, because we can place the artificial intelligence tool and bots that we are creating to automate many tasks. So we believe that we are able to handle 10x the volume that we're handling now without increasing the size of the team.
Right. And then we'll round it off with one final one. Just, would you like to call out or talk through any important sort of strategic alliances or acquisitions that you think investors should be aware of?
Yeah, in terms of alliances, we have been disclosing a lot of alliances. As I said, one of our main focus is to integrate with key players. We always go with the big ones. We have an integration, and we have recognized as a key partner of Geotap, for example, that is a leader in the industry. Samsara is a huge company that is growing, creating beautiful devices, and we have an integration with them, so we can get all data that they are getting from their devices directly in our platform in real time. We are also collaborating with companies, helping carriers like tracker tools is very useful to all the companies that are creating technology for the carriers. If we can connect and integrate all the technologies in just one place, I think it's going to be super useful. Nobody wants to have thousands of apps doing different things. It's super useful to have just one. And we are trying to create this app that is, as I said, the hub of all the functionalities that other providers brings. We are part of the American Chamber of Commerce in Mexico, so we are very involved on the chamber, and we are helping U.S. companies to do business in Mexico. They are always looking for a manufacturer and a transportation company, so we are always collaborating with them to offer them our service, and I think it's a very helpful alliance.
Yeah.
In terms of acquisitions, we have been growing organically since the very beginning. There are no any acquisitions that have been done in the past years.
Well, that was very helpful. I want to thank both Javier and Don for sharing the story and taking the time with us today to go over freight technologies. This was very insightful, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, Greg. It's great to be here.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Yeah.